So we're here in San Diego, and you know, we didn't have to pull a permit to do this because San Diego believes in the First Amendment rights. I want to thank Lieutenant Moody and Lieutenant Dan.
Detective Dan Vile.
Detective Dan
Vile.
Vile. You're the type of people that make America keep going. You know, city by city, people try to stop us from actually going on the street and talking about job creation. Such a simple subject that concerns all of us. But San Diego is a town that makes sure that the First Amendment right is protected. Now, we were in Elkhart, Indiana, a pretty famous town when it comes to jobs. And the only thing they cared about is making sure we didn't say anything about job creation. And that, San Diego, is something you better think about, because if there's towns in this country that are stopping people from speaking on the street about a simple subject of job creation, that's something that we better worry about in a very, very, very serious way. So let me talk a little bit about why we're here and our solution. In New York City, we have the greatest financial industry in the world. There are 3 stock markets that are operated in order to sell stock for companies. There's a New York Stock Exchange, there's a NASDAQ exchange, and then there's an exchange that nobody ever talks about, and that's the OTC Bulletin Board. Now, we're after cleaning that market up. There are actually companies called shell companies that have no business in them at all that trade on that stock market. That is not what I call a clean market, a fair market that you should raise money on for businesses. Now, these shell companies are traded back and forth as if they exist, but they don't exist. So what our little grassroots organization is looking to do is A, expose those people who are participating on the OTC Bulletin Board market. Secondly, go after those people and make sure that we clean up the market and make sure that if the companies exist and they're trading stock, that there's something that's viable that won't steal from investors. But more importantly, what we want to do is turn that market into a job creation stock market, because there isn't any business or any idea in America that can be funded from the pockets of that entrepreneur. They need to go after other capital. Right now in our country, the first thing you do is go to an angel investor, a venture capitalist, and then finally maybe go for an IPO. It is extremely inefficient, and it is extremely limiting to those people that are not connected to venture capitalists or angel capital. And maybe that's one reason why our country is failing, because we're not giving fair access to raising equity or capital for companies. That's why we're out on the street right now. The market exists, we have nothing to create, we just need to clean up. And when I say clean up, I'm not asking the government to go and clean up. I'm asking you to get behind us so we can go and clean it up. Put in new computer systems. Making sure we know who the market makers are. Making sure we know the algorithms that are involved for the trading of those stocks. And making sure that when you spend a quarter, a dime, a nickel, or a dollar on those shares, that you're going to be treated fairly. Now, they can run and they can play with all their New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ all they want. But if we can get back to New York City and we can clean up the OTC Bulletin Board market and rename it the Job Creation Stock Market, we will, I guarantee it, create jobs instantly. Now, you won't hear other politicians talking about this. First of all, I'm not a politician. I'm just a hard-working guy. And you won't hear politicians talk about this because they are connected to campaign funding and so forth that comes from Wall Street. Now, I've been told by a few Harvard guys that they'll never let us clean up the OTC Bulletin Board market because that will cut into the investment bankers' commissions. But we're coming, we're going to clean it up, and we're going to start creating jobs not by the government handing jobs to people, but by the free market providing capital and making people aware of the ideas that create jobs. That's what will create jobs in America and nothing else. You don't have to be a Harvard professor or a University of Chicago economist to understand the mechanics of the economy. Ideas, investment, and a rotating economy from jobs, that's what makes it work. Let's listen to some more music from Todd.
Well, let's go down to the water. Let's go down to the water now. Let's go down to the water to pray. I said, let's go down to the river. Let's go down to the river. Let's go down to the river to pray. Let's go up to the mountain. Let's go up to the mountain. Let's go up to the mountain and pray. What you waiting for? What you waiting for? I said, let's go down to the water. Let's go down to the water. Let's go down to the water to pray. Let's go down to the river. Let's go down to the river. Let's go down to the river to pray. Let's go up to the mountain. Let's go up to the mountain. Let's go up to the mountain and pray. All right now, listen. Oh, what you waiting for? Yeah, what you waiting for? Let's go down to the water. 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 Let's go down to the water.